Good evening, everybody. Once again, welcome to Talking Sports with Ronnie and Johnny here on Drake and Access TV every Wednesday night from 7 to 8, alongside of my co-host, Johnny. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. There's something missing here. Wait, what happened here? Oh, that's right. One of the things that we talked about and has been displayed over the last few weeks is the fact that Johnny has this hidden agenda about trying to replace me. But as you can see, when the chips are really down and the crap hits the fan, we can see who's still standing here, Jimmy. Alongside of my new co-host for tonight, Jim Latham. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Great. He's much better looking than I am.
Well, he is, but you know what, though? He's not here, and that's all that really matters, okay?
Yes, you're right.
You know, stressed out, a little sick. No, Johnny's actually a little sick tonight. Hope he gets better. He'll be back again next week, hopefully. Jimmy, you were here last week with us, okay? And we talked about a lot of different things, okay? Tonight, what I kind of want to do is I want to kind of focus on a few little things. A little bit later on, I'm going to give out my Boston, some of the athletes that play in Boston. I have some Christmas gifts for them. Okay,
You're a giver. That's what you are. You're a giver.
Jimmy, you know,
Yeah.
people, you know, that's what. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I'm talking
You're
about.
a man of the people.
I am. I'm a man of the people. That's right. So I'm going to give away my gifts to the Boston athletes a little bit later on. But first things first here. Let's talk about the Patriots this game last week against Baltimore, and what were kind of some of the things that you saw in this game that you liked, and kind of a few of the things that you didn't like about the Patriots game this week.
Love the way that they handled Baltimore's defense. A lot of people were talking that we wouldn't be able to run on them, we wouldn't be able to pass on them, and we
Number
were
one
able.
ranked defense.
Number one ranked, and you know what? They deserve it. But when push came to shove, we were able to do both. We were able to do running, we were able to do passing on them, and you know that just goes to a TD12. You know. The defense got to be prepared for him. Opens up holes for LeGarrette Blount. Blount was a phenomenal superstar Monday.
He's again he broke the record this week for most touchdowns in a single season for a running back.
Right.
Couple things that I liked, and you hit on them. A couple things you already hit on. One of them being that I liked the way the offensive line has played this year. Mm-hmm. Okay, I liked the way they played last week. I think that they really dominated Baltimore's defensive line. You know, when we hand out regular awards at the end of the year, you know, they're going to talk about Tom Brady, and you're going to talk about, you know, LeGarrette Blount, and you're going to, you know, the Edelmans of the team, and that's what the awards, because they're the players. That's where it should go. But I got to tell you something. One of the guys this year that really should be considered for an award is Dante Scarnecchia. Okay, the offensive line coach for the Patriots. Because up until he came back last year, this team was in disarray on the offensive line. And what this guy does is amazing, how he gels these guys together. No matter what the player is, it doesn't make a difference how athletic the guy is or whether he's a top-notch lineman or he could be a lower echelon lineman. He gets them to gel. So, you know, kudos to him, because the game plan that he came up with against a very, very good, good Baltimore team.
Yeah,
was
several
amazing.
years ago, he was the special teams coach in New England.
Yes.
And during that time, we had the best special teams coverage, it seems, in the NFL. I mean, if not the AFC, anyhow.
Absolutely.
And he gets the guys to work for him. He does.
They love him. They really do.
And the line was falling apart last year.
There's not a person on that team that doesn't say glowing things about this man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and the fact that, you know, and again, I'm not saying he was old. I mean, but you know, he's in his 70s, and you know, he doesn't have to be doing this. He loves doing it, and he took the time off, and they practically begged him to come back because they knew he was the guru that was going to and the glue that was going to put this offensive line together, and he's shown that so far. So yes, for me, as you said, okay, this offensive line really dominated the defensive line of the Baltimore Ravens. So yes, that was one of the things I liked. Tom Brady again was magnificent. Magnificent. I can't say, you know, again, we're watching history here, people. People should enjoy what they're seeing right now in Tom Brady. I mean, it's the same as back in the '80s when we had Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And we never wanted to see Larry Bird go. Okay.
And
we
you
never
knew when it was
you knew-
happening.
yeah, exactly.
You knew that it was something that 20 years from now you're going to say, wow, I missed that. And you knew that when Larry Bird was around, and we know it when Tom Brady's around. That
Absolutely.
We're not going to see this again.
People should soak up as much as is
Yeah.
possible. And Tom Brady's come out and said that he wants to play. He was quoted today
Yeah.
saying he wants to play. He's 45, 46 years old. Now
Yeah.
look, you think about that. You may think it's ridiculous to hear something like that because obviously that's never been done in the NFL. It's never been. I think the oldest quarterback, let's say 41 maybe. Warren Moon, I think, may have
Right.
just turned 41 years old when,
Yeah.
when he decided to leave, and he went off the cliff.
Now,
But
when
is
you
any-
turn 45 in a couple of years,
Yeah.
do you think that you'd still be
I got
able
underwear
to?
that's 45
okay,
years
all
old,
right.
Jimmy, okay? All right, I got underwear that's 45 years old. But that's for another show, for another time.
Yeah.
Actually, another channel, too.
Yeah,
We
let's
can't-
not
this is-
talk about
this
your
is
underwear.
Access, this is Access TV. This is
Yeah,
local.
that's- you're right.
Yeah, it's local. So the thing that I have about Tom Brady is people, when you look at it on the face of it and say, can a guy like this last till he's 46 years old? Well, look, why can't he? All right, the condition he's in, Jimmy. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
The way he keeps his body. Again, obviously, major injury. He can't have. Obviously, if he has one of those knee blows to the knee like he had, a few years ago. Obviously it's over. Okay, because then after that, he just won't come back.
Remember the Joe Theismann thing?
Yes.
When you see his leg,
Yep.
the bone coming out of it?
Yeah.
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 Now, that's the thing that
was
you
Lawrence
fear.
Taylor.
Yeah, that's the thing you fear.
Again, and that's my only fear. And for a while, and again, it goes back to Skarnecchia, that was a big fear, okay, going into this year, is that Tom Brady was going to be healthy. When he came back from his suspension, Tom Brady was going to be healthy, and this offensive line was going to be able to keep him upright. And so far, they've done a great job. And last week's game, I give my top star to Tom Brady because he just picked Baltimore apart.
Oh, yeah.
Picked him apart. 400 and some odd yards. Except for that one red zone throw that he threw that I'm sure he's probably having nightmares about because of knowing him. He's got, 20 touchdowns this year, 19, 20, somewhere around touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
It's outrageous for a guy that's 39 years old.
Yeah.
And there's no decline there, Jimmy. You don't see it like you see in a lot of other quarterbacks.
He's got zip on the ball. He puts it right between the numbers. You see it week in and week out. That one, for us to remember the bad throw that he's had, that was probably the worst throw he's made all year.
Right.
And it was just it was a duck that went right out to the defense.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a
It
bad
is
timing.
a surprise when you see something like that because normally, you see that from the Colin Kaepernicks, okay? You see
Yeah.
that from the below average quarterbacks. You don't see that from a guy like Tom Brady because he's Tom Brady and he knows better than to do something like that. But even the great ones make a mistake every once in a while. But
Right.
I don't want to focus on that mistake because all in all, he was just fantastic. The things that did bother me obviously was the special teams play. I mean, again, as Bill Belichick so eloquently says from time to time, you got to get production from all 3 phases of the game, okay? And offensively and defensively, they got great production from both of those.
Yep.
But in a span of 14 seconds, the Patriots went from being up 17 points or so to 3, okay? Because of guys that just can't catch a ball. I mean, listen, these are punts. He doesn't even want people, Jimmy, he doesn't even want people to run the ball back. All he wants to do is have them fair catch a ball, okay? And they're running into that type of situation, and that's an issue, okay? Because going forward, you don't want to be in a game where a special teams play, and we saw this happen last year, okay? A special teams play takes the Patriots out of the game. Because if you remember one of the last year's playoffs games, they were cruising along until, and I remember, 978-957-4243 if you want to give us a call and weigh in. Every once in a while, my mind goes blank. Well, a lot of times, my mind goes blank. But if you remember who it was that muffed a punt and gave the ball back to the Patriots' opponent at the time, and it swung all the momentum the other way, and the Patriots, I believe it was Denver, the Denver game. So, anyways, let me throw this at you, Jimmy, because recently, over the last couple of days, there's been a couple of guys that have been let go and from other teams. I'm going to throw a couple of names out at you, okay? Mm-hmm. Because we all know that Belichick is not afraid to take in reclamation projects. And I'll do my quotes, okay? It all depends on what the reclamation project is. And again, sometimes it doesn't matter about their attitude or their discipline because he's always saying to himself, and he has proven with guy the likes of Corey Dillon and Randy Moss, okay, sometimes it works. There are other cases, that don't work. Hainsworth,
Yeah.
a few other guys, that come in, that doesn't work. But for the most part, he's willing to take the chance on bringing in these players and saying, okay, they will adhere to our way of thinking. So I want to throw these two names out. What happened in Arizona was Arizona lost to Miami, and their young wide receiver Michael Floyd. I think he's been in the year about 5 years, maybe 7, but I'd say 5 years. Pretty good wide receiver. Not good possession receiver. Does a good job, Jimmy. Okay, and he decided to go out after the game on Sunday and partied up a little bit and got an OUI, and was obviously cut by Arizona immediately. They just cut ties with him. So he's out there. He's a wide receiver, okay, a good possession wide receiver. And as far as I'm concerned, you can never have enough wide receivers, especially where now Gronk's gone. Okay, now you don't know what's going on with Amendola. And you always like to have that depth. Okay, so there's one guy, okay, that would you take a shot on, okay? The second guy is a guy who perhaps is probably one of the best special teams players of all time, okay? He's definitely gone off the hill in the last, say, 3 years, okay? He's had like 4 or 5 fumbles over the last couple of years. He kind of looks timid now when he goes for ball. Before he was fearless. It didn't make a difference where the kick was, how close the guy was. His idea was he was running the ball back. Okay, now he's even scared to do fair catches. Now again, could be that he needs a change of place. Okay, and that's Devin Hester. Okay, now with that said, do you think there's any chance that a team like New England will take a shot at either one of these two guys?
No.
Okay.
And
Now,
there's
why
one,
is that?
One word is distraction.
Okay.
I think the questions would come up with Hester as far as him not being able to field the ball correctly and the fumbling. If he comes up and he starts fumbling the ball here, Belichick isn't going to have any of that.
No.
He isn't. And as far as what's the guy's name, the OUI guy?
Michael Floyd.
Michael Floyd. No, that is not. It's not something that. Remember the guy from we drafted him, Peter.
Peters. Yes.
Peters.
So there was a lot of outcry about him.
Right, and you
Yeah.
know what?
But they still drafted him.
They still drafted him, but then they
kind of.
they thought about it and they
Well,
said, "Oh yeah."
there was a lot of heat, a lot of pressure was put on
They
about
did.
that, and then they finally decided they were going to let him go.
And you know, they
this
don't
is-
make that mistake anymore. They
But
don't.
this is my point, though, Jimmy. They have shown in the past that they're willing to do that. Now, a guy like Michael Floyd, let's forget, let's put him to the side because there is that pending OUI and stuff, okay?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe they don't want to even deal with all of that issue. But a guy like Devin Hester, okay? Again, he is a proven special teams player who can run a ball 100 yards on a punt or 108 yards on a kickoff return. And when you come into New England, and you said this and it's true. He could come into New England, go to the first game, whether it's next week or the week after, get his first punt and fumble the ball. Okay, we lose the ball, and then Belichick the next day would cut him.
Before he gets out of the stadium.
Exactly,
Yeah.
He would cut him. Okay.
I say
My
no.
question is, it isn't about what he's going to do while he's here. The question is Belichick willing to take the risk at a guy like a guy? Forget the Michael Floyd thing. I see your point
Yeah.
with the Michael Floyd thing because that's a major distraction.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll
You don't
never
need
get
that
it.
right now. But the guy like Devin Hester, you know what I mean? Do you take a shot with a guy like
Well,
him?
I think-
Maybe you hope that, you know what?
How old is he?
Oh, he's got to be probably in his mid-30s to up,
No,
maybe mid-30s.
I don't
would
think
say.
so. I don't think you do. I think
Well,
I think he's going to be doing fine with the people that he has now.
Well, that's the problem. What people does he have now? Because here's my problem. Okay, I don't want Julian Edelman back there returning punts. Okay, I don't want him doing it because he's too valuable as a wide receiver. And look at it's all it is out there is like dodgems. Okay, is like the
Yeah.
old dodgems. Okay, they're out there just killing each other on special teams. Okay, there's always a block in the back, a block in this, a holding, a ripping. There's always something going on out there, right? That's
I
the
can't stand that. That's one thing. It's the block in the backs now. You see them in every game.
Oh, it's
you
awful.
push in
It's
the back.
awful.
It's like, you
Yeah,
kidding me?
Yeah. Well, what they do is they're taught that, you know what, a block is a block, and if you have to do something to protect the receiver, then do it because it's usually, it's probably now more 50-50, but sometimes they don't see it, or sometimes they'll let it go if it's not that egregious.
Yeah.
And so you're taking a shot at that to protect the player.
But it seems
and to
like
open
they're
a hole.
calling it on every
Oh, they always do.
single-
Listen, if it's not
ridiculous.
blocking the back, it's holding. It's something. It's
Yeah.
always something. Okay.
No.
Every special teams play seems like every time there's something going on. Every punt. It seems 90% of the punts there's always a penalty. But again,
But to get to your point,
yes.
no one has to. I mean, no. I mean, the guy, he's having a very hard time fielding punts. He's fumbling. How many things does he fumble this year?
Supposedly it's like 4 or 5 in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He's having a lot of issues with that.
We don't need that trouble right now.
Okay, and again,
you know?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying one way or the other which way. I'm not leaning which way, one way or the other. But my problem is, we need somebody.
Yeah.
Right now,
you're right.
we have nobody back there that's capable of just fair catching a ball. Okay, and that problem has to be solved, Jimmy. That problem has to be solved because that's going to come back and bite them. Okay, if they don't figure that out. And I'm sure Belichick isn't sleeping well at night right now thinking
Well,
about
there's
that.
your point right there. What's Belichick going to do about it? And a lot of times,
Well-
all these years that he's been here, you think, and the saying goes, "In Bill we trust." He's not going to just sit there and not sleep on it. He's going to do something about it. There's going to be somebody he's going to put up, and it's just going to be something that they'll practice to death, and they'll get someone. If it's got to be Malcolm Butler, that's what he did in college. So, I mean, you have all different scenarios. Of
I mean,
people.
he's trying all different types of people on the team right now. Because if I remember correctly, the last guy that was back there that fumbled the ball was Slater.
Yeah,
Okay. Now Slater fumbled the ball. Slater has been back. And this is a true stat. I actually verified this because I couldn't believe it when I heard it. He's only returned 3 punts. Okay. Only 3 punts in his lifetime.
Really?
Okay? And he's fumbled 2. All right, so listen, before we do it, we have a phone call right now. Laura's on the line right now. Laura, how are you doing?
Good.
Hi, what can I do for you, Laura?
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Laura, how are you?
Hello, Laura.
Who's this guy beside me?
My dad.
Oh, nice, nice.
Isn't she? I got to tell you about Laura.
Yep.
Laura's a championship swimmer.
Yeah, really?
Yes, she is.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
this
What's your
week-
specialty?
What's your specialty?
What's your specialty, Laura?
Butterfly.
Butterfly?
And
Yeah.
the butterfly has been her nemesis this week because it's a very special meet that she's supposed to be on this weekend. It's a high school meet, and she's in 8th grade, and she can't go because she's developed tendonitis on her shoulder.
Oh, no, sir.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
disappointed, Laura?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we going to be seeing in the next couple of years from you, Laura? Are you going to be one of those? How old are you now, Laura?
I'm 14.
14. So you're in high school right now?
No, I'm in 8th grade.
Okay, so you're going to be going. You're going to be going to Lower High. You're going to be going swimming. Is your ambition to swim in high school?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen. I've known your dad for many, many, many years. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. Okay. And maybe your dad can tell me one of these days when you're up actually swimming, and I'll go check you out and see how this is.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. Okay. Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for calling,
Thank
Laura.
you, Laura. Say goodnight to your dad. It's almost past your bedtime.
Stop calling.
Good idea.
Stop calling me old.
My old man.
Bye now.
Bye, honey.
All right, Laura. So, getting back to what we were talking about as far as that situation, my point is, we know that he will at some point fix this. Okay.
Yeah,
we know that.
we
okay?
do have a lot
that's
of
what
trust.
That's
in
what
him.
he
We
does.
have faith in him.
Well, look, they're 11-2 this year. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's got to be doing something right. But that situation has to be addressed. All right, so I want to move on a little bit because we're going to kind of bounce around a little bit. What I want to do is, we have 4 major sports teams in Boston, okay, Jimmy? So I want you to put your thinking cap on here, all right? Patriots are having a good year this year, okay, obviously. You know, people want to talk about the Patriots. They think they're going to the Super Bowl instantly. We're going to talk some facts and figures in a little bit about that. But actually, before we do that, you know what? We got Ray on the line right now, our UMass Lowell man. Ray, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Ryan?
What's going on?
Not much.
How was your week?
My week was pretty good. It's
Okay.
always good
How was
after the next
UMass?
week.
How was UMass Lowell's week?
Well, that's what I was going to get at. My week is always, it's always good after a sweep.
Put you in a good mood there, Ray?
It did. Yeah, Merrimack isn't the toughest team in this conference, as you know, Ronnie, but still, it's nice to go into the break playing some good hockey, and they played very well both nights. And I wanted to tell you before I forgot that on Saturday night, their defenseman had 10 points in that game.
Really?
Yeah,
On
That's
Saturday
something
night, the defenseman had 10 points?
10 points.
Wow.
All the defensemen between goals and assists, 10
Yeah.
points.
Wow.
When I tallied it up, I said, I gotta look further into this and see when the last time something like that happened. But anyway, it was a nice weekend. Our boy Joey Gambardella got his 100th point, and so that was good for him and his family. And
Yep.
so it's going to be a very, very tough second half. But it's anybody's game, Ronnie. There's nobody that really sticks out. Except for BC, but I'm not sure the schedule they played the first half. But I mean, other than them, it's a dogfight.
Now listen, I know they just went up. They went up 2 points, 2 positions in the rankings. They went up to 7th with the
Yep.
sweep. Okay, I was looking at the standings right now, and UMass is second in Hockey East right now with 13 points. Okay, they're 4 points behind BC. They're a couple points ahead of UNH, Notre Dame, and Vermont. And again, like I said, they're ranked 7th in both of the polls that they have, the USA and the OSCHO poll.
Yeah, and even
Obviously-
more importantly, they're number 5 in pairwise, which is the one that actually matters at the very end.
Right, exactly, right, yeah. But here's my thing. I know they don't play again until the end of the week, the end of the month. I guess they play in the Dartmouth tournament. Okay,
Right.
at the end of the month. Okay. They just swept Merrimack. Okay, they've been having a little bit of problems before this sweep. Okay, is this break going to be good for them right now, or as hockey players, do they want to be continuing to play?
Well, I think that any team wants to continue to play, because if you lose 2 in a row, you want to come back the next week and prove that weekend was, a blemish. And if you win 2 in a row, like a golfer, you want to come back the next day and swing the club again, right? So they probably would like to play again. At least, Ronnie, they're all basically on break now.
Right.
So they're all in the same boat. So you just kind of hope that they keep their flow in practice over the break and get right back at it. But you're right; it's always a tough question to really figure out until they start playing again.
Okay, so I didn't honestly didn't see either one of the games. Who played goal in both of those games?
So you had Wall and you had Metcalf. So it
Okay.
seems like Wall is, he's going to be the number 1 guy.
Right.
And they're starting to lean on Garrett Metcalf as the number 2 guy, who also played well again for the second consecutive weekend. And so he's, I'm liking what I'm seeing. He's only got, 2 games under his belt, but he certainly has played well in those 2 games.
Right. Now explain to everybody, Ray. You talked about it before about positioning inside in this and where UMass Lowell wants to be. Okay. Explain to people what their best positioning is for the tournament down the road.
Okay. Right. So the way the tournament in hockey is set up, it basically is you want to finish in the top 4, because when you finish in the top 4, you get a bye. The 5, 6, 7, and 8 gets by, and then 9 through 12 play a 1-game playoff. So you want to play, by finishing in the top 4, you get that first series at home, and all 3 games. It's the best of 3, but if it happens to go to 3 games, all 3 games are at home.
Okay.
So you really need to finish in the top 4 so they get, and you don't have to finish any higher than 4, Ronnie, because after that series is over, that series that you're playing at home, if you win, you go to the Garden. So home ice doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
It's just for that first series. And so by finishing 4th, you guarantee that you're either going to be, you're going to be playing the 5th seed at worst in that second round, and you'll be playing at home all 3 games. So
Right.
that's so important.
Right. So you know the schedule better than anybody else here. Okay. Tell me what you think, looking at the schedule ahead. And I know they have some iron. They have a lot of iron, after January, okay, towards the rest of their schedule. What's your feeling, and where do you think this team's going to end up?
Well, they played BC twice, BU twice, Providence twice, UNH twice, Northeastern twice, and UMass twice.
Right.
So you heard the first three teams, BC, BU, Providence. Providence has gotten off to an awful start.
Yes,
but
they
this
have.
is very, very indicative of what they've done in the last couple of years, and they come strong at the end. And they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives here, so they're going to be tough. BU is just going to keep getting better. Same thing with BC. And then UNH is off to a great start. They only have one loss in Hockey East, but they haven't really played anybody. As we talked about all year long, Ronnie, you got to get some sweeps here, and it's going to have to come against either UNH, Northeastern, or UMass, or maybe two of the three. And then you hope to split with BC, BU, Providence. You want to get to that 20-win mark, and as far as inside of that conference, I got to tell you, I think that they can finish fourth, but it's going to be awfully difficult because even though you said they're in second place, they have a couple of games in hand over Vermont,
Right.
UNH, and Notre Dame. So, it's going to be very, very close, just like it was last year. Remember, we went right down to that last weekend,
Yep.
and they got a break and they finished fourth. And
I remember
that's what
that,
we hope happens again.
I remember that. Okay, so honestly, though, gut feeling, how far is this team going to make it in the tournament?
I like this team, Ronnie, and
Yep.
if they can stay away from injuries, which of course that's what every team is saying about their important players now. I like this team. I think the freshmen are starting to play very, very well. They have one line in particular that is emerging as their second line to go with that C.J. Smith, Gambardella, and Edward line. I like this team. I mean, I do think it's definitely an NCAA team, and I think it's somebody who could go, and get to the Frozen Four. Because the other thing, Ronnie, is if you look at the whole picture nationally, there's no team out there nationally that's standing out like a sore thumb, just like in Hockey East. There really isn't a great, great team. So anybody can win it this year. There's going to be about 8 or 12 teams that feel like they can win it all this year, and Lowell's one of them.
Right. All right, Ray, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
Hey, Ray, Jim Latham here. How are you?
Yeah, Jimmy, how you doing?
Good, my Facebook friend.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray, I saw that they announced the teams for the Frozen Fenway. Are we involved in that this year?
Gosh, now that you mention it, I haven't looked at it. No, the Lowell is not in that Frozen Fenway this year. They were, I believe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember
I went there
it, but
2
it
years.
was
I
raining
was
out.
there 2 years ago. They played
Wasn't
BU.
it was a rain fest, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was raining and lightning and
Yeah, right. You
Oh,
couldn't
it
even
was-
pass the
Good
puck.
hockey weather.
You
it,
needed a boat.
it was a blast. It really was.
Real good hockey weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, Ray, always a pleasure, my friend. Listen, we're going to get you in here next week or the week after. We'll get our schedule straightened out here, but we want you in here live, okay? That pretty little
Yeah.
mug of yours. Believe me, you will improve the mugness, okay, on this show, okay, if you come in here. But always a pleasure, my friend. We will talk to you next week, or we'll have you in here next week. I'll talk to you sometime
All right.
during the week. We'll
All right,
get it all
thanks for
figured out.
having me.
Thanks
All
again,
right,
Ray.
Take care, Ronnie.
Appreciate
Ray.
it, my friend.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. There you go, Ray Keefe, our UMass Lowell expert. And believe me when I tell you, he knows his UMass Lowell hockey. And he goes to a lot of games. He's very, very passionate about UMass Lowell hockey, as you can tell, what he brings to the game here. So, all right, so let's move on a little bit, Jimmy. We were talking about right before Ray called us. What I was going to tell you was for four sports teams: Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, Patriots. Starting this year, I want you to give me, in a ranking order of 4 through 1, who you believe will be the next team to bring a championship to Boston.
The next team would be the Patriots.
You think it's going to, so your number
Yeah.
one is the Patriots?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
the
you think
Patriots.
it might be this year?
I do.
Okay, why?
I think all the Ducks are in a row. I mean, I think they're playing like a championship team. I think Brady is playing with a sense of urgency. As much as he says he wants to play till he's 45, he's a smart guy. He's got to be realistic. he wants, as he did last year, he wants to bring this team all the way to the end and to keep winning one week after another. He's got a better team, a fuller team than he had in the years when he was beginning to win Super Bowls. He's got receivers. They got all facets of the play. They get a better offensive line now than they did last year, so they're improved. They're improved that way. And as far as his receivers, even without Gronk, I think he's got a Ben Hogan. I mean, that Hogan is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to end.
Yeah.
And without Gronk,
He's filling in. He's filling in nicely, but he's no Gronk. But again, this year, and I talk about this to a lot of people. Look, I'm as big a fan about Gronk as anybody else. Probably going to be the greatest tight end in the history in the NFL if he stays healthy. Okay, I don't think there's any question about it. But honestly, this year, if you think about it, they've done a lot what they're doing right now. Where they've gotten this year, they've done without him. Because he really, if you think about it, there was only maybe one game of this year that he really contributed, okay? That he had a big game.
If you look at the structure of the Patriots historically with Belichick, they've survived without having an awesome, a top-tier receiving core. Maybe the second.
The Marshy is.
The second besides, yeah, they don't win with Moss.
Yeah.
But the second Super Bowl they've had, I mean, it was just, I don't want to say subpar, but it was an average receiving core. And they can survive without having, that Randy Moss. The best receiver that they had was Troy Brown. He was the Julian Edelman.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not so concerned about that. It's everything else has to come together. He's got a scheme, Belichick, meaning Belichick. And as long as everyone does their job, they're going to go right up there. And once they get into the playoffs, once they get it up to the AFC championship level, it's anyone's game at that point.
Yeah. Here's my thing, and you brought it up. Brady has a sense of urgency, okay? And a good point that you just mentioned is, look, if anybody's going to make it to 46 years old, it's going to be Tom Brady, okay? Mm-hmm. But obviously, his sense of urgency is now because he really does want to cement his legacy. And don't get me wrong, as far as I'm concerned, okay, and this is just me, he's the greatest quarterback ever to play in football, okay? But there is also still that debate out there. We all think that in here, in the northeast corner, it's Tom Brady, okay? But in the out in the Midwest, they say Joe Montana. Down south they may say Dan Marino, okay? Mm-hmm. The thing that's going to separate Tom Brady is going to be that 5th Super Bowl, okay? That's what's going to cement his legacy. And then there'll be no more conversations. If he does, by some miracle, for all of us, okay? Because, again, as I said at the beginning of the show, we're watching greatness right now. We're watching another Larry Bird in our generation, okay? First of all, it's very, very hard to watch greatness in this fashion in two different sports from two different athletes in a lifetime, okay? A lot of times that only comes around once. And if you really think about it, okay, I'm just a little bit older than you, just a little bit, okay?
Yeah, you're older
I
than
got
me.
to see the tail end of a guy by the name of Bobby Orr's career too,
Yeah.
okay? So I did get to see a lot of great players, in my lifetime so far, okay? Tom Brady, again, to me is the greatest quarterback, but I think it's only going to be after the conversation is going to end after he wins the 5th Super Bowl.
Right.
Now, with that said, and I know what you said, okay? I'm going to give you in descending order who I think is going to give us a championship, okay? Let's say at number 4, it's very obvious, the Boston Bruins, okay? The Boston Bruins of the 4 teams we will not see a championship in that team for at least another 5 years, as far as I'm concerned, or until they get rid of Claude Julien and the mess that's in there, okay? Until they switch up their style of play and realize this isn't a defensive, this isn't the 60s hockey anymore. Claude, you're watching me, look at me, Claude, watch me. This is not the mucking, grinding league anymore, okay? You got to have goal scorers, okay? Pittsburgh is playing. The Bruins are playing Pittsburgh tonight. I'm going to kind of flop a little bit here. But Pittsburgh's playing tonight, okay, against the Bruins. Pittsburgh is leading the league in goal scoring, okay, 3.4, 3.6, okay? The Bruins average 2.1 goals a game, okay? They are 25th in the league right now, okay, in scoring. tonight's going to be a very good test for a team like the Boston Bruins because if Pittsburgh puts a 4 or 5 spot on them, which they're very capable of doing at home, the Bruins have no shot of
over,
beating them.
yeah.
They have no
It's
shot.
over.
Okay, they have no shot of beating them. Okay, even 3 goals is going to be a hard time for the Bruins to score. So to win a game. My point is, they have to completely change their whole style, and until they get rid of Claude Julien, it's not going to happen. So they're number 4. Okay, and number 3 is the Celtics. All right, the Celtics at least have some upside. They still need to plug in a few different players. They need a good rebound and a rebounder. Okay, I know they have Horford in the middle. He's a good inside presence. Okay, but they need more. Okay, they can't have Horford and Kelly Olynyk. Okay, or any of these other Tyler Zeller. These guys are not going to get it done and bring a championship to Boston. It's just not going to happen. As you can see, the way the NBA is right now, it's all about the big 3. Okay, teams that are winning have the big 3. The Celtics need a big 3.
they don't
Right now, they have a big none, as far as I'm concerned.
Can I
Okay,
ask you a question about the Celtics?
Absolutely.
About the Celtics. And, I can't say as I pay attention to the Celtics as much as I had in the past. But there seems to be a lot of criticism about Isaiah Thomas. And
Yeah.
I know he's a leading scorer in the Celtics. And every time that I watch him, he seems to be the go-to person for the Celtics. Seems to be doing all the plays, having all the touches. What is the criticism with Isaiah Thomas that people, even so much so that you're listening to them talking about getting rid of Isaiah Thomas and going beyond him?
Yeah.
What is that criticism? I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm going
it.
to tell you what the criticism is. He's not a leader, okay? And anybody out there, again, 957-4243, 978-957-4243. If you want to call in, let us know. You can agree with me, disagree with me. That's great. I like it, okay? I love the criticism. Here's the thing. He's not a leader, and I'm going to tell you why he's not a leader. Because leaders don't cry when things aren't going right for you. And recently, over the last month, there was a game that the Celtics were playing, and they were getting blown out of the game, and Isaiah Thomas was benched, okay? He was put on the bench, and he whined about the fact that the only way that they could have got back into the game is if he was on the court. Now, again, to me, that's not a leader, okay? You don't make criticism. It's very simple. Keep your mouth shut, play on the court, do what you got to do on the court, be a leader, and then, you know what, people will respect you more. Okay, so that's the reason why, as far as I'm concerned, okay, don't get me wrong, great scorer, okay, great
Do you
scorer.
like Brad Stevens?
I love Brad Stevens. I think
Yeah.
they get the right coach in place, but they need to really start building from the inside out in this team. And we're going to get, as fate would have it for us tonight, Jimmy, when I do my Christmas gifts, one of the Christmas gifts is for Brad Stevens. Okay?
Again,
And you'll
you're a
see-
giver. You're a giver.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Me. It's about me being a giver. I understand that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that about me, Jimmy.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I do.
So that's their number 3. Number 2, the New England Patriots are second on my list. They're not first.
Really?
They're second on my list. Okay? They, as far as I'm concerned, unless they shore up that special teams that they have right now and a few other little holes that they have, and they don't have a lot of holes. They're 11-2, and I get it. But, and again, and I said this last week, and I'm going to stick by this. They proved a lot to me by beating Baltimore. Okay? A good Baltimore team at home. Because quite honestly, and if you talk to, again, a good friend of mine, Jimmy Alamesis, okay, a good friend of ours, Jimmy Alamesis,
Yes.
I said to Jimmy, I really thought the Patriots were going to have a hard time beating Baltimore, okay, just because I thought Baltimore's defense was going to be able to stop the Patriots. Now, again, with that said, we all saw what happened. Patriots tore them apart in New England. This week, they got a true test. Tom Brady is 2-7 in Denver, okay? Now, you mentioned this. What is the keys to winning the Super Bowl? Well, one key is getting home field advantage. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
You need home field.
Yeah.
The Patriots have shown more than not by getting home field advantage, they're going to advance to the Super Bowl more times than not.
They can't
okay?
take a week off like they
You
did
can't
last year.
exactly. You cannot do what you did last year and decide taking 2 weeks off. Okay, and all of a sudden now you don't have home field advantage, and we saw what happened last year.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they
that's-
literally took a week
so
off.
that's a key.
They took that week off
Absolutely.
in Miami. Yeah,
Absolutely. That's a key.
tick
Okay,
us everyone off.
that's one of the keys. Again, another one of the keys is, again, it's going to be shoring up all 3 phases of the game. And as fate would have it, I have a little thing for Bill Belichick, a gift under the tree for him too, okay? So we'll talk about that in a second. So the Patriots this year, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe are going to win the Super Bowl, okay? I don't believe. Because I'm going to tell you what, there are a lot of teams out there. Forget about the AFC. The AFC, they can probably sleepwalk through the AFC, okay? Really, honestly. There's only one team that I said earlier that scares me, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they face the Pittsburgh Steelers, no matter where it is, Pittsburgh's going to give them trouble, okay?
Love the
So
I
we're
love
gonna-
the Steelers.
We're going to hope that don't happen. So
Yeah.
matchup is the other
No.
key. All right, so with that said, on the other side, if they do happen to get through the AFC, there's a couple of teams out there that are pretty damn good, there, Jimmy, okay? The Seattle Seahawks scare me a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, don't think for a second that Seattle coming up here and beating the Patriots was a fluke. Okay? And it was a great game, and the last two games have been 1-point games, and they've been decided by the last play of the game, and that's awesome and everything, okay? But I gotta be honest with you, they scare me, okay? And I think if the Patriots play Seattle in the Super Bowl, not gonna be an easy win, okay? Not even gonna be close to an easy win. And more likely, Seattle will beat the Patriots. So, moving on, my team is the Boston Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are capable this year, coming up, this season coming up, of winning the World Series, okay? With what they did in the offseason and what they're going to continue to do, okay? You look at that team from 1 to 9 in the lineup, you look at that team defensively, you look at that team pitching-wise, they are set up, again, and everything, Jimmy, as we always say, it always has to do with injuries, okay? One injury, key injury here, one key injury there, anything can happen, okay? And I understand that, but we're always talking on paper here, we're always talking about things that, may happen, may not happen. On paper, the Boston Red Sox are set up this year to win the World Series.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure can.
What do you think about the manager's? Do you think his job is safe?
As fate would have it, Jimmy,
Yes.
one of the Christmas presents I have is for John Farrell. Hold that thought, okay?
Well, let me just tell you.
Yeah.
And I do think about this. And John Farrell last year, and I like John Farrell.
Yep.
But there were times in the games last year that I had agreed with you, that I said, you know what, maybe his time has come.
Terrible in-game
know,
manager.
Oh, he just looked lost, and he looked. I mean, you know what he reminded me of last year?
Yeah.
You remember Sammy Sosa in the congressional hearings?
Oh, sure.
I don't
Yeah.
know. But that's, I mean, it's funny and everything, but that's who he reminded me
I
of.
see where you're going with that.
He just looked lost. He wasn't an in-game manager.
Hold on to that thought because we're going to do that, okay?
Oh, you giving gifts
And
out?
I'm going to give gifts out in about a minute, okay? And John Farrell is on my list of gifts,
Oh,
okay, that
my
he needs.
goodness.
All right, so for me, again, wrapping up what I was saying to you, the Red Sox, to me, is going to be the next team that's going to win a world championship for us. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the Patriots do win us this next championship. I don't see it, though. I just think, personally, I know their record's good. This test against Denver will show me a little bit because now it's on the road against the team that the greatest quarterback of all time traditionally has a bad game against, a bad time with, okay? So I want to see what happens, okay? Let me see that. Let me see what goes on there in Denver, okay? Personally, I think it's a whole different Denver team. They don't scare me as much as, before when you used to say the Patriots going into Denver, oh, man, that's a loss.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, you know what?
They
It's
did, that doesn't,
that
that's
whole aura. It's
their
so
defense,
loud.
their defense still isn't. Defense isn't all that as good as the Denver defense is. Even Denver's last team last year. I mean, they still do have the best defensive player. Okay, one of the two, Von Miller, Khalil Mack, 1 and 1A. Okay, right now.
Yeah.
But Von Miller's a beast. Okay, as Tom Brady said today in his press conference, he reminds him of a Lawrence Taylor. Pretty high praise for a guy.
Yeah,
okay,
it is.
and he said, I never really saw Lawrence Taylor play. He goes, but from what I never witnessed him play, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard and from talking to people, let me tell you, okay,
That type
I think
of player,
it's going to
yeah.
be okay. All right, so right
Now,
now,
let me just
go.
say.
Yes, Jimmy. Yes.
Let me just say.
Yes.
It is a phenomenal time to be a Patriots fan.
Yes.
These games right here, when the Sunday games roll around, football should be for Sunday at 1 p.m., by the way. This other thing's
I know.
crazy.
Yes.
But nothing gets your juices rolling like a good football game on a Sunday.
Absolutely.
And this is exciting. To be here and talking about this is awesome.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for bringing me
Not a problem. Anytime. You know that, Jimmy. On the phone right now, we have our man Rob from Methuen. Rob, how are you?
Roddy, how are you?
What's up, my friend?
Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
Hey, Rob, how are you?
All right, listen,
Hey,
Rob.
go
Before
ahead.
Rob, listen. Before we get into, I want you to be part of this, okay? Because I want you to hear this. Before we get into the Bruin stuff, okay? I want to give out. I want to give out my gifts. As Jimmy says, and you know, I'm a giving man.
You are.
I'm a very giving man, okay? And so this year I decided what I wanted to do is I wanted to give some of the Boston sports players their gifts, okay? And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read them off real quick because I do want to talk about the Bruins, okay? Because there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about, all right? But let's start off with Marcus Smart. Everybody know Marcus Smart from the Boston Celtics, right?
Right.
All right. What I decided to give him was a mattress, okay, to attach to his back to protect him from all the flops he's been doing, okay?
That would.
This kid is going to get himself thrown out of the league if he continues to do what he's doing. Okay, terrible.
Every playing
It's
soccer.
not- every other game now. Even the league has come out and said we can't. He's done. Okay, all right. So I'm going to rip right through these. All right, Bill Belichick. I want to give him all three phases of a personality. Okay, because he's always talking about three phases. He needs three phases of a personality because you can't talk to the guy. Tuukka
You got
Rask.
this one?
Tuukka Rask.
Go.
I want to give him Esposito, Cashman, Hodge, Neely, Orr, Bork in front of him. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's what he's going to need for the Bruins to continue to be good. All right? He needs goal scorers. All right. Zdeno Chara. I want to give Zdeno the fountain of youth. All right? And a cement breaker for his skates. All right? Tom Brady. I want to give him Ben Roethlisberger's football handler's number. All right? Anybody that doesn't know what
Hey.
that means, okay? There was another Deflategate too that was dismissed by
Mini.
Roger Goodell.
Immediately.
Okay, immediately dismissed. Immediately dismissed. Not even thought about, okay? So I want to give him Ben Roethlisberger's football handler's number because obviously Roger Goodell is okay with it. all right?
Guilty.
Okay. John Farrell and Claude Julien, I want to give something to remove the rabbit's feet they have up their asses because they both should be fired by now. Okay? Chris Sale, I want to give him the biggest extension in baseball history because he deserves it. If there's any pitcher out there that deserves to be making the money that these guys are making, it's Chris Sale. Okay? Pablo Sandoval, 3 times willpower. Okay? It's all I want him to do is keep the 50 pounds off. Just willpower.
Give him a
all
Three
right?
Musketeer
Rob Gronkowski, I want to give him a steel back. All right? Because his back is like mush, and he needs something stronger because every time he goes out, it hurts the Patriots. It's usually his back. All right? Hanley Ramirez, I want to give Manny Ramirez's bat to help him become the DH that Manny was. Because that's what he's going to be this year is their DH. And I'm only hoping he can be half the DH that Manny used to be. Okay? Brad Stevens, I want to give him DeMarcus Cousins. Okay? That's my Christmas gift because the Celtics need an inside presence like DeMarcus Cousins. I don't care if he's a nitwit. I don't care if he's a terrible human being. He averages 28 points and 18 rebounds a night. That's what I want to give Brad Stevens because that's what they need for this team to move on. And finally, I got a gift for Johnny Dakota. My partner, Johnny Dakota, okay? If you're listening to this or you're watching it, you know I love you, but listen, I want to give you a new job so we can make it a week without being sick from stress. All right, so that's my gifts, okay, that I'm going to give to the Boston fans. But let's talk about these Boston Bruins. We got a little time here, and I want to talk about the fact that they played a heck of a game the other night, and coming from me, I'm going to tell you something. They played a great game against the Canadians. But before we move on real quick here, don't get all excited because their flaw was right there again in that game. They played an outstanding game. Tuukka Rask played the game of the year for them this year. Okay? And it took Tuukka Rask the way he played this game, in order for them to win. They almost lost that game as well as they played because they can't put the puck on the net.
Exactly.
Okay, Robin, that's my issue. Okay, my issue. They are 25th in the league in goal scoring right now. Not going to get it done, my friend.
And they have guys that can score, which I don't understand. Like Bergeron's got to wake up. Krejci's got to wake up. No, those guys can score goals. They're just not.
Well, again,
Nobody's saying Krejci's name this
But
year.
why is that though? Is it because the system that Claude is still putting into existence here is a stranglehold on these guys?
Might be.
It's got to be something like that, because you don't go from last year from being one of the top 5 teams in scoring to down the bottom just like that. Something's amiss here.
Virtually the same lineup.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay. Maybe it's the line combinations. Okay, maybe it's a lot, but the bottom line is, Rob, with this team, look at I can't see Tuukka Rask doing the things he's doing.
No, you're right.
I just
mean,
can't.
we got to be realistic. You can't count on the guy every night to play like he played Monday night. It's not fair.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to score some goals.
Yeah. What now? Now again, they're currently third. The blessing for this team right now is that the teams that are playing below them aren't playing all that great enough that, like right now, they would be in the playoffs.
It would be in, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
they'd be eighth. Okay,
Yeah.
they'd be the third in their conference or the division, but they'd be eighth overall. And right now they're eighth, 4 points ahead of their 9th, 10th, and 11th, I think. Okay, and as you know, 4 points is I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of points, but it is kind of a lot of point separation between 8th and 9th and 10th. So
Yeah. We know from last year.
here's my thing. Is it going to be enough right now going forward for this team, okay, to be able to make a run to secure 8, 7, 8 in that range there? Because I don't see them going up any higher than that. I just don't see it. But let's say 6, 7, 8 in that range. Or are we going to see, again, what we saw last year, where now they're going to start playing the better teams? And I mean, it's kind of like what we talk with Ray all the time about UMass Lowell hockey. UMass Lowell has been playing, they're second in the Hockey East, but now they're going to start playing all of the tougher teams. So you could see them go from second to 8th, okay, in an instant because of the teams they're playing. Are we going to see that from the Bruins?
Good, yeah. I mean, they gotta find it now. I mean, I agree with you. I think they're on the same track as they were last year. Just barely in the playoff race, and then it comes down to a couple of points and they're out.
Well, you do know that they're the only team in the NHL history to be first in their division in the month of March or in the month of April and not make the playoffs.
And not make the playoffs, yeah.
And they
Yeah,
did 2 years in a row. Okay, so that's my fear is that again. My fear is that they're going to hang on, and for all the hockey fans out there, my daughter, my beautiful daughter Kristen, loves the Boston Bruins. My grandson Cole, okay, loves the Boston Bruins, okay, and they eat, sleep, drink the Boston Bruins, and they're always they cling on, they hang on, and I know you're the same way, Rob.
Yeah.
You hang on with this team, man. It's like, you know what? You grab them right by the seat of their pants, and you hold on with them for dear life because you never know what this team's going to do. It's not like you can, like back in the years, even 5 years ago with this team, okay? Even when Chara first came in here, where you never had to worry about them not making the playoffs. It was never an issue. It was always, are we going to win the division? Are we going to be the top team? I mean,
How deep are we going to go? Yeah.
They won the what's the trophy they win for the most points in the league? They won that 2 years. 2 years, and it was like you can't even those days are long gone. And my fear is with this team though is that that's going to be long gone for a while now until they get rid of Claude Julien.
Well, it's so disappointing that Rask is playing as well as he is, and we're in 8th place. I mean, we're right on the cusp of not making the playoffs, and you got a guy playing out of this world as a goaltender, and you really have good players on your team. They're just not putting it together. They're not putting it in the net. They're not being able to swish across the ice and get down and get the puck in the net.
So is it just a question that you kind of hope, and as an avid hockey fan, and I know you are, Rob, okay? Is it kind of that you just hope that they're going to turn this around, or do you got to make a move or two?
I think you got to make a little splash. I mean, at this point, you keep hoping that they're going to snap out of it, but it doesn't look like they're going to. And I think you need a little splash. I think you need to make a little noise and get rid of Krug or package him with somebody else and maybe get somebody that can put the puck in the net. It's time.
Yeah, they need something. Something's got to give. I mean, they're stuck at 8th. They just haven't been the team that they need to be if they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, except for Rask.
My fear, boys, is very simple, and we just touched on this. They're 4-3 in December, okay? Which 4-3 in December, it's better than being 2-5 or 1-6, okay? They played a good game the other day against Montreal. You see that, you see that flashes of a good hockey team against going up to the Bell Center and winning a game is tough enough as it is. And, the score being 2-1, again, is a problem because you're not going to win a lot of 2-1 games against the Montreal Canadiens.
No, you're not.
You're just not, okay? Against these teams. Like tonight, for instance, Rob, they play Pittsburgh tonight.
Pittsburgh,
Okay?
yeah.
Pittsburgh scores 3 or 4 goals, which they can easily do on any given night. Do you feel comfortable with the Bruins being able to score 4 goals?
No.
So there's
Well
your
done,
issue.
yeah.
There's your problem, okay? So,
Three goals.
so what's more likely to happen tonight, if you had to make a prediction? Is it more likely that Tuukka Rask is going to hold them to under 2 goals, or is it more likely Pittsburgh's going to score 4 goals?
More likely they're going to score 4 goals. They've been playing really well lately.
Yeah, so that's my issue, because now they're going to start facing teams that can put the puck in the net, which, I hate to say it, is pretty much every other team but them, okay? And they're going to be in trouble. This team's going to be in major, major trouble, okay? And again, I don't get the whole fascination with Claude Julien. I just don't get it. I never understood why the Bruins stuck with this guy. They had a chance to get rid of him 2 years ago. They had a chance to get rid of him last year.
He's a Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah, you know what? But how long does the Stanley
Yeah.
Cup buy you?
I
You
know,
know, does it
but-
buy you 4 years of being in last place?
It does.
You
It
know,
has.
I don't know.
I
Maybe
mean,
it
it has
does.
with-
Maybe in this town it does. But
Yeah.
you know what? I gotta be honest with you. And I brought this point up before. If you knew that you were gonna win a Stanley Cup every 4 years and be in last place the other 3, would you accept that?
I would take it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I mean, that's what people. I guess that's the mentality around here. Is
Yeah,
that you know what?
or yeah,
You know,
right.
if you were guaranteed a Stanley Cup every 4 years, you know what I mean, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'd take it. Oh, yeah, I'd
you know,
take
it's like look at. Not that we'd ever see this in our lifetime with the Patriots, but if the Patriots finish dead last 4 years in a row, and then that 5th year, every 5 years we win a Super Bowl, would be okay with that?
Good deal.
That'd be interesting to find out. You know, that maybe one of these days I'll have a poll of some sort, Robert. I'll put that out there and see what people think, because I'm not that way. I'm just not. Okay. To me, it's like, be competitive. We're Boston here, man. We're not Cleveland. Okay, and even though Cleveland won a championship, it took them a gazillion years.
Yeah.
We're not Jacksonville. Okay, we're not St. Louis. Okay,
We were for
we're
a long
Boston.
time, though,
okay,
Ronnie.
we have money. Every single one of our sports teams has enough money to be able to be competitive every year. That's all I want. You show me a team that's competitive, I'm happy.
I think the Bruins are different, though. They have all the banners. They have all the first places. They don't have a lot of Stanley Cups.
Yeah. All right, listen, we're going to let you go, Rob, okay? Listen, I'm going to call you this week. We're going to set you up to come into the show either next week or the week after, okay?
Sounds good.
If we can do it, okay? Get back to doing what you're doing. Christmas parties only come once a year.
All right, we'll do. Thanks, guys.
All right, well,
Thanks,
thanks, a lot,
Rob.
Rob.
Good night.
See you
Good
later,
talking
Rob.
to you.
All right, here's Rob from Methuen again, weighing in with his hockey. We only have a couple of seconds.
I don't
Jimmy?
feel it for the Bruins. I feel nothing for the Bruins.
No.
I don't see it coming
Which is sad because
anytime soon.
No.
And I love the Bruins.
Yeah, me too.
Just-
The thing about it is I want to love the Bruins, and there's
I do
nothing about
too.
that team.
Yeah.
Anymore. Jimmy, pleasure coming in again.
Thank you,
Showing up.
Ronnie,
Listen,
for having me.
That's what we say. Johnny couldn't make it tonight. Jimmy's going to be the new guy, I think, going forward,
It's
because I
all
don't
gone.
care anymore either. He ain't getting rid of me. All right, once again, you're listening to Talking Sports, or you're watching Talking Sports with Ronnie and Johnny here on Drake and Access TV. We'll see you again next week.